What's up, WrestleScope family? Before we dive into today's absolute bombshell, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now, because what I'm about to expose will shake the entire WWE universe to its core. So you think Brock Lesnar is a locker room leader? You think he's the mentor everyone claims he is? Think again, because what happened backstage at WWE Raw this week is gonna make your blood boil. Bron Breakker, the man carrying the legacy of the Steiner Brothers, the future of WWE, the young lion who's been destroying everyone in his path, went to Brock Lesnar, the BEAST INCARNATE, looking for backup against CM Punk's mind games and psychological warfare. And you know what Brock did? He laughed in his face and walked away. That's right, the same Brock Lesnar who claims to respect the business, who supposedly values toughness and that old-school mentality, turned his back on a second-generation superstar who represents everything WWE's future should be. And I'm about to tell you exactly why this is not just disrespectful, it's dangerous for WWE's entire landscape. Drop a comment right now and tell me if you think Brock is a selfish coward or if Bron needs to figure it out on his own. Let me paint you the full picture of what went down, because the mainstream dirt sheets aren't telling you the real story. According to multiple sources backstage at Raw, Bron Breakker has been dealing with CM Punk's veteran tactics for weeks now. Punk has been in his head, playing mind games during production meetings, making snide comments about Bron's family legacy, and basically doing what CM Punk does best, being the puppet master pulling all the strings. Now, Bron isn't stupid. He knows that CM Punk is one of the best talkers in wrestling history. He knows that going toe-to-toe with the voice of the voiceless on the microphone is like bringing a knife to a gunfight. So what does Bron do? He goes to the one person in WWE who CM Punk has never been able to fully intimidate, Brock Lesnar. Think about it. Brock and Punk have that history from their UFC days, from their legendary confrontations, from that time Brock simply existed and Punk looked like he wanted to disappear. Bron thought he was making a smart veteran move by seeking counsel from someone who's been in the trenches, someone who knows how to handle Punk's psychological warfare. But here's where it gets disgusting. When Bron approached Brock in catering, respectfully I might add, with Paul Heyman even present, and asked for advice on how to deal with Punk's mental games, Brock literally sized him up, smirked, and said something along the lines of, "Figure it out yourself, kid. I'm not here to hold anybody's hand." Excuse me? This is the same Brock Lesnar who benefited from having Paul Heyman guide him through the political minefield of WWE? The same Brock who had veterans like Kurt Angle and The Undertaker show him the ropes when he was coming up? The same Brock who learned from the best and now refuses to pass on that knowledge to the next generation? And you know what makes this even worse? Bron Breakker isn't some random nobody. This is Steiner blood running through his veins. His uncle is Scott Steiner, one of the most legitimate tough guys in wrestling history. His father, Rick Steiner, was a multi-time tag team champion. This family has earned respect in this business, and Brock treats Bron like he's some developmental rookie who doesn't belong in the same building. Now let's talk about why Bron even needed to approach Brock in the first place. CM Punk has been on an absolute warpath since returning to WWE. He's been settling old scores, proving he's still the best in the world, and making it crystal clear that he's not here to put young talent over, he's here to reclaim his spot at the top of the card. Punk sees Bron Breakker as a threat. Think about it. Bron has the look, the intensity, the genetics, and the in-ring ability that WWE has been desperately searching for in their next big monster heel. Punk knows that if Bron gets the right momentum, if he gets the right program, he could potentially overshadow Punk's comeback story. So what does Punk do? Classic CM Punk strategy. He gets in Bron's head early. He starts making comments about how genetics don't equal talent, how being a second-generation wrestler doesn't mean you've earned anything, and how Bron is just another musclehead who will flame out like so many before him. And it's working. You can see it in Bron's recent promos. There's hesitation there. There's doubt creeping in. And when a young talent starts doubting themselves, that's when their career trajectory can completely derail. But here's what really infuriates me about this entire situation. This isn't just about Brock refusing to help Bron. This is about the toxic culture that WWE has allowed to persist in their locker room for decades. Wrestling has always had this figure-it-out-yourself mentality, this sink-or-swim attitude that's destroyed more careers than it's built. How many talented wrestlers have we seen fail not because they lacked ability, but because they didn't have the right guidance at the right time? Brock Lesnar is in a position of power in WWE. He's one of the few part-timers who can still demand whatever he wants. He has creative influence, backstage pull, and the respect of management. He could literally make one phone call and ensure that Bron gets the protection he needs in this storyline with Punk. But instead, Brock chooses to be selfish. He chooses to protect his own legacy rather than build the next generation. And you know what that tells me? That tells me that Brock is scared. He's scared that if Bron succeeds, if Bron becomes the next big monster in WWE, then Brock's entire legacy as the Beast becomes diluted. And let's not forget about Paul Heyman in all of this either. Heyman was right there when this exchange happened. The same Paul Heyman who managed Brock for years, who now manages Punk, and who has always prided himself on being the advocate for the best talent in the business. Heyman could have stepped in. He could have mediated. He could have given Bron some advice even if Brock wouldn't. But instead, Paul stayed silent. And you know why? Because Paul Heyman is always playing both sides. He's keeping his options open in case he needs to jump from Punk's ship to Bron's ship somewhere down the line. It's classic Heyman manipulation, and honestly, I'm not even mad at Paul for this because that's who he is. But Brock should know better. Now here's where things get really interesting. Because while all this drama with Brock and Bron was going down on Raw, we also just witnessed Drew McIntyre join the Vision on SmackDown. And you know Roman Reigns is watching all of this unfold with very keen interest. Roman has been building his new bloodline, his new empire, and he understands something that Brock doesn't. The future of WWE depends on building strong alliances and grooming the next generation of stars. Roman has been doing that with the bloodline for years now. So imagine this scenario. What if Roman Reigns, seeing Brock abandon Bron, decides to extend an invitation to Bron Breakker? What if the tribal chief offers Bron the mentorship, the guidance, and the protection that Brock refused to give him? That would be an insane twist. Bron Breakker with his explosive power and Steiner aggression joining forces with Roman's calculated dominance. That's a partnership that could rule WWE for the next decade. And you can bet that Roman is thinking about this, because while Drew is joining new factions and Brock is being selfish, Roman is always thinking 3 steps ahead. That's why he's been at the top for so long. According to my sources, the locker room is divided on this situation. Some veterans are actually defending Brock's stance, saying that tough love is what builds character, that Bron needs to figure out how to handle Punk on his own if he wants to be taken seriously. But the younger talent, they're furious. They see this as another example of the old guard refusing to help the future. They see guys like Brock taking main event spots, making millions, and then refusing to give anything back to the business that made them. And honestly, I kind of agree. If you're not willing to contribute to building the future, then why should you be rewarded with the biggest paydays? So where does this leave us? Bron Breakker is on his own against CM Punk's mind games. He's got no veteran backing him up, no guidance from the legends, and he's expected to just figure it out. This could go one of 2 ways. Either Bron digs deep, finds that Steiner fighting spirit, and overcomes this challenge on his own, which would actually make him a huge star if he pulls it off, or Punk destroys him mentally, derails his momentum, and we watch another young talent with unlimited potential fade into mid-card obscurity. My prediction? I think we're going to see Bron snap. I think all this frustration, all this disrespect, all this psychological warfare is going to culminate in Bron having a meltdown and just unleashing absolute chaos on everyone. Punk, Brock, management, everyone. And honestly, that might be exactly what he needs, because sometimes you gotta burn it all down to rebuild yourself stronger. Look, at the end of the day, this situation exposes a major problem in WWE's culture. You can't expect young talent to succeed if the veterans refuse to guide them. You can't build a sustainable future if the legends only care about protecting their own legacies. Brock Lesnar had an opportunity to be a leader, to be a mentor, to be the kind of veteran that this business desperately needs.
And he chose selfishness instead. That's disappointing, that's frustrating, and frankly, that's pathetic. Bron Breakker deserves better. The WWE Universe deserves better. And if Brock isn't willing to step up and be better, then maybe it's time for WWE to move on from the Beast Incarnate and invest in the future. As for Roman's reaction to Drew McIntyre joining the Vision, you know the Tribal Chief is watching everyone's moves right now. Drew aligning with new allies, Brock refusing to build new allies. Roman sees all of this as opportunity. Don't be surprised if we see the head of the table make some major moves in the coming weeks to consolidate power and bring new members into his circle. The wrestling landscape is shifting, people. Alliances are forming, bridges are burning, and we're heading towards something massive. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment down below and tell me, is Brock Lesnar right to make Bron figure it out on his own? Or is he being a selfish veteran who's hurting the business? Would you want to see Bron Breakker join Roman Reigns and the Bloodline? And do you think CM Punk is going to destroy Bron's confidence, or will Bron come out of this stronger? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the backstage drama, smash that like button. If you're not subscribed to WrestleScope, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we bring you the real stories that the mainstream media won't tell you. Share this video with your wrestling friends, because this is the conversation everyone needs to be having right now. The future of WWE is being decided in these backstage moments, and we're going to cover every single one. I'm out, stay scoped in, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.